We're going to start with Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, who's facing attacks over his military record. Now, JD Vance has accused him of stolen valour. His former battalion commander, John Kolb, says that Walz did not successfully complete any assignment as a sergeant major. The issue is he's using the title, and a Fed-income Marine in Vance can call him out. I mean, that's where he's vulnerable, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's three components to this story that has just blown up in the last week. The baseline is he served honorably for 24 years in the Minnesota National Guard, which is a great record and should have and would have been enough to be proud of and point to. For whatever reason, he decided along the way that it wasn't enough, repeatedly on camera over the past 20 years. There's lots of footage, people can look this up, where one thing was the title inflation, because it was a provisional title contingent on him finishing his tenure, which he didn't do. The second thing is draft dodging, where his unit was told that they have to deploy to Iraq, and he retired before that.
Just before he had to go.
And hence he doesn't qualify for the title, but he's kept using it either by commission or omission. And then the third one, which I think is a line that you don't cross in the military, that's what a lot of veterans would say, is he has embellished and said he was in the war zone and carried weapons of war and actually fought in war zones. That's a line you don't cross.
No way.
What will it do politically remains to be seen, but there's 20 million veterans. Look at their family, that's 40 to 50 million. So it's a sizable contingent of people that are very passionate about this issue. And maybe that's why we saw him quite silent over the weekend. You know, after his big pick, he didn't do any media. And I think they're trying to figure out how to right this ship.
Very impressed with title inflation, Coach O'Rourke. That'll stick in my mind forever now.
Big interview today, Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I think I've got a grab. We'll play that. Have a listen.
Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. And say what you want. This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him. I think we're at a fork in the road of destiny of civilization, and I think we need to take the right path, and I think you're the right path.
About 2 hours long. How influential is Musk going to be?
Well, it got 2.1 million views on Trump's Space on Twitter and 54 million views altogether, but it's backward-looking, Peter. And you've been warning on this program about Donald Trump can't win an election if he fights the last election instead of this election and denigrates his opponent just in personal terms. Stick to the border. Stick to the economy, stick to 20% inflation. She was counted out by people before this election on the basis of her not visiting the border and her support in the Senate. She was the crucial vote for those huge inflation boosting trillions of dollars that were in the Biden economics, which is no longer mentioned these days.
What they're trying to do, though, is they're running down the clock, right? They can see the finishing line. They've only got to, hold her up and keep her lucid and out of trouble for a matter of months.
Will it work?
2 years. Well, she hasn't had an interview. She's under not a lot of scrutiny to have one, really. And I looked at that decision she made the other day to match Trump on dropping the tax on tips. When he did it, everyone was banging on about this will cost the economy X billions of dollars. When she did it, A, they don't mention the cost to the economy, but two, they don't say this is matching the Donald Trump policy. So she's getting, rails run from the media. Nursing guidelines in the UK. You mentioned this to me. I couldn't believe it. What's this about?
So the Royal College of Nursing, RCN, in the UK, literally just in the last 48 hours after the Health Secretary's guidelines changed their guidelines, that they have the prerogative to deny treatment to patients who they feel or they perceive are being racist. And the reason for that is in the wake that they're giving is in the wake of the pressure cooker environment in the UK, if nurses are feeling under attack.
But I thought a medico had to give you help if you need help.
Yes, and the Hippocratic Oath is what they go by. That's where this thing is quite stunning. I think that they're captured by maybe a higher ideological oath. And I think what this goes to is the battle of free speech and the tentacles of it.
Yeah, but imagine if a white nurse says, I'm not going to treat a black patient, but a black nurse can say, I won't treat a white patient.
Right. And this is happening. And we're seeing, instances of this where the fact that there's free speech and the way things are being positioned will show up in debanking people, will show up in not allowing people to have access to treatments. And we're seeing the tentacles of that whole censorship and the way you're allowed to speak or think or not speak or think show up in ugly places.
Hey, Nancy Pelosi has had a bit of a smackdown to Paul Keating.
He better be careful. She might confiscate his red cardinal shoes. She's a pretty tough lady.
Yeah, she might say, do not let him come into the country.
The point is Paul did a very hardline interview on behalf of that pro-China point of view that he represents, saying that Taiwan is just a piece of Beijing's real estate and that Australians don't care about democracy in Taiwan or whether those people have the right to decide their own government. I'm telling you, Paul Keating, you're wrong. Most Australians will side with Nancy Pelosi.
He's wrong on a lot of things. Anyway,
he was a great man.
Don't even go there.